Yeah. Oh, and here we go. Welcome to my lovely home. As you can see, I just woke up and we are in my base.
Yeah, so this is a fairly big base that you built. First, we have a bunch of different things that you added to the base. Right now, we have a lean-to that you just interacted with, and you got to set your spawn point there, but that's also a place where you can rest and pass the night if you want to. But we have a lot of vanity items that you built. We have some chairs and a little sconce right here for light.
Yes, I love the way that a lot of this came together. I love the fact that you use things that you find, such as the bug parts in the chair. I love turning off the lights. I don't know what it is, but turning lamps and torches on and off are great. But
So
yeah,
we just
so let's
woke up
leave
right
the
now
base.
and it's morning, so the sun hasn't really risen yet. So it's a little bit on the dark side. But first of all, you need to, as you can tell from your scabby in the lower left-hand corner, your thirst and your hunger meters are a little bit low when you first wake up. So you have to, when you start your day, you have to drink and you have to eat. And you just drank a dewdrop from the dew catcher, which is a building that you can place in your base.
Yeah, and
That's a little spider web thing that you saw there.
that was really interesting, that entire idea, because I never would have thought of just collecting dew that way. But it almost looks like a dream catcher, but a dew catcher. So I like that. And
Yeah,
here we
and
go. This is one of my favorite moments is when the sun starts rising. The
yeah,
way
you're
that
up
it
at high
illuminates
right now, and it's really, really cool vista shot of the yard. You can see how expansive everything is. So all those pieces of grass, there's things to explore everywhere, and it's a very cool handcrafted environment.
No,
And you
it's
can see
super
you built your
cool.
base near a baseball.
Yes, it was one of the nice landmarks. So that way I had a reference point to come back to. And then here we are finishing up my base. I didn't have time to finish quite before I recorded. So we get to put up some walls.
Yeah, so this is an example of how you build your base, and we have a tile grid that you can build on just for ease of use. And all that base that you built is made out of grass planks. And those are just one of the resources that is required. And you can get grass planks by cutting down grass blades.
One of the things that I do want to point out is that I had to keep a stockpile of extra materials because I noticed at night some of the creatures would come out and attack my base, even if I was just at home, like, hey, we're chilling. Why does that happen?
So another thing that we're doing here is we're building up a ceiling, and the ceiling is made out of clover leaves. So it's just another resource. And the structural elements are also made out of weeds. So you have to cut down weeds to build some of the structural elements of your base.
Now, I really like the pattern, the fact that you guys laid the clovers over each other to make it actually look like a roof tile.
Yeah, it's it's just like little things like that. You can customize your base and really express yourself through a lot of different vanity things, and really build out a really, really cool base. And you can see there's some defenses that you can build as well, such as the spike trap.
Yeah, that comes in handy for, like I said, at night when the creatures attack. I can wake up and then just go harvest body parts of anybody who got stuck down there.
So you ventured out and you got a little snack here. This is a mushroom that you just picked up and ate. When you start, your day, you do get hungry. So the mushrooms aren't really a great source of food, but it is a tasty little snack that you can get, and the mushrooms will grow back over time.
Interesting. And this is what I like is when you're chopping down items, you actually get exhausted during that part. So you have to take a little bit of time to go ahead and build that back up before you can chop. And then the fact that it breaks down into easier parts to carry is really neat.
Yeah, and those weed logs are too big to fit in your inventory, so you have to haul them around. And when you are really small, physics acts a little bit differently down here. And, you can haul big, huge objects. And some things are just too big to fit, and the weed logs are an example of that.
Yeah, I really like the way that the view changes in both first and third. Because in third, you just look super strong. And in first, it's just like, look at all this stuff I'm carrying.
Yeah, that's a good point too. So we do have first and third person cameras. So you can play however you want. If you like to explore in third person, you can do that. If you want to, fight insects in first person, you can do that as well. So it's, it's up to you how you want to play.
Cool. And now you're getting ready to
sorry,
go
and you're
out.
playing as Hoops right now. Just adding that in. That's one of the 4 selectable teenagers that you can play as.
Yes. And at this time, I want to remind you, if you guys aren't asking questions, feel free to start posting questions in Discord, in Twitter, or in Twitch and Mixer. So that way, when we get to the Q&A part, we can answer some of those questions for you, which will come later. But I do want to ask about that juice drop.
So
because go
there's
ahead.
a lot of man-made objects in the world. So, and each one has its own unique thing. Like some are just there to build a base around and act as a cool landmark. The juice box, for example, you can find tasty juice out of the straw and it will drop down and you can slurp it up. And it's a good source. You don't get a lot, but it's a good source to refill your thirst and your food. But there's a lot of cool things in the yard that you can find that have different properties like that.
No, it works out. And speaking of things that you can find in the yard, like that juice box, where do some of those concepts come up with? Because I've noticed a lot of it is made specifically for this game.
Yeah,
Like
everything
the
is
punch top.
handcrafted and unique, and we're making everything, for grounded. And there's a lot of story elements for those man-made objects. So it's one of those mystery things. If, as you play the game, you'll kind of have an understanding of why these things are in the yard and who lives here and why are all these things placed here. So there's a little weevil. Weevils are little insects that you can find. They actually will sniff out mushrooms. So if you don't kill them like you did here, you can actually follow them and they'll lead you to different mushroom patches. But you can also, hunt them and kill them and build stuff out of their parts.
And I've noticed with the mushrooms, while they're a great resource to have, they don't really do a whole lot in terms of filling your hunger gauge.
Yeah, they're just
is
like
it-
little tasty snacks. So, you actually, eventually you will want to hunt insects. They definitely give you more nutrition. So right now you're finding or hunting an aphid, and aphids are meaty and they're good source of food. So you'll have to roast them up and you have to cook them. So there's an extra step involved. But that's the preferred way of eating and grounded.
What's nice too is it's very early on to where you're able to kill like the weevils or the aphids to where they don't attack you, so you feel bigger. But I realized later when you get to ants and other larger creatures, you need some armor. So I'm starting with this Clover Armor, but I haven't really progressed past that. What other types of armors can we expect to see?
Yeah, so Clover Armor is what we think of as like tier 0 armor. It's your first starting armor that you'll find. We do have more advanced armors. We have tiers of armor sets, and each armor has different properties depending on your play style. So for example, if you want to play a more tanky character and go in head on and fight insects with melee weapons, there are different options for you. For example, there's the Acorn Armor, which offers more protection. So there's 3 slots. So as you can see, you have a head piece and a armor piece, chest piece equipped. There's also the leg slot, and those will show up in the lower left-hand corner, so you can see how much protection you have left.
And that's cool that you talked about the different types of play styles. So that way, when I hop in the game and play with my friends, we can each play a different type of way, but still all play together at the same time.
Yeah, and we are talking about the single player part of the game here, but there is if you want to jump in and play co-op with your friends, you can play up to 4 players, and you can choose each one of the 4 player characters to adventure with. And a lot of things change depending on single and multiplayer, but the entire game is definitely playable from a single player, and you can go through the story at your own pace, or you can have fun and build a big base with your friends. So you actually did a pretty good shot here. So you were able to kill the aphid with your bow and arrow.
I think that's like my proudest moment.